Hey everybody, we are live. We are live now on Curry Traits. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just about to have a special guest join us here as well. So get all your friends on. This is Keeping Up with the Curries, a brand new initiative that we've got going. So we've got our just a few seconds here. But we're so glad to have all of you here. Hey, Robbie, how are you,
Hey, how's
mate?
it going, man? Pretty good.
I'm good. That's good, mate. That's
Got
really awesome. Hey, so
old soda
you
Curry
got the
shirt.
shirt as well.
Yeah.
This is actually a limited edition shirt. You actually
Okay.
can't buy this one. This one
Okay.
might be coming out soon, so a bit of a
Coming out
sneak
soon.
peek.
All right. Cool. Cool.
But thank you for all the amazing people that are coming on. Chuck some comments to say hi. Chuck some likes as well. Share around with some friends. But guys, welcome to Keeping Up with the Curries. So this is a new initiative leading up to our awesome Unity Day, which you guys are going to hear more about as we celebrate the stories of everyone on our page. But today we've got a special member for our very first ever live with Keeping Up with the Curries, and we've got Ravi.
Hello, everyone.
Ravi, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, mate?
Yeah. Honestly, thanks for having me. I've been a big fan of soda Curry traits for like the last 3 years since it started. Yeah. So my name is Ravi Lang. I'm finishing up my last year at McGill University in Montreal, Canada. I'm specializing in environmental engineering. And on the side, I'm a tabla player. I love Indian or South Asian classical music, and I also like to do a bit of comedy, have some fun with memes. So yeah, thank you so much for having me, Noel. Yeah.
Come on, mate, and let's all thank him in the comments as well. It's great to have a fellow member. But Robbie, first question, let's kick it off. How did you end up on Curry Traits? But more importantly, what does being Curry mean to you, mate?
Yeah, honestly, I told you I can't remember honestly like exactly. I guess someone added me, and I kind of been aware obviously of memes and other meme groups, but when I was added, I started posting a bit, and it was like, oh, people kind of who understand maybe me or comedy. I was able to express myself through a group, that sort of, I guess, understood maybe comedy that not many other groups kind of would have understood, I guess, compared to uh yeah, like for example, it started with subtle Asian traits, I think, and then it kind of passed on to sort of Curry, and then from there it really took off. And then so yeah, honestly, it's just been really fun since.
Come on, mate. And I guess so. We were talking before, and you were telling me about your family, and you've got a very, very interesting mother and father. And I want you guys in the comments, if you're watching, have a guess what nationality Ravi is, because it will blow your mind. But Ravi, do you want to tell us a bit about your family and how that was growing up as well?
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like nationality to me, like it's we're all. I mean, to me, like, we're all human. But so yeah, so my mother's family is from India originally, in Uttar Pradesh, near Banaras and Lucknow. There's two big cities there. And my father's family, I mean, he's Canadian. Like my parents grew up in Canada, but my dad's family's from England and Scotland originally, and they immigrated to Canada. So very different backgrounds, I guess. And back then, when there were many, I guess, interracial couples and whatnot. So yeah, it was pretty new, I guess. And but I have to say, like, my mom is her culture and traditions were important to her, and she sort of passed it on to my sister and I. And my dad's been a great support since, and a great support about it. And he's loves it as well. And yeah, it's been pretty cool. Kind of living the best of both worlds. And yeah, like I mentioned, I really got into it just through music, especially. Yeah.
Come
So.
on, man. And you were telling us before in relation to your parents growing up. So they were the very first interracial couple, and they
Oh,
were the
one of the.
first ones to have like a Hindu and white wedding. And tell us a bit about that. That just sounds awesome, man.
I
They
mean,
set
yeah,
the tone for everybody else.
yeah, because it's true. Like now, I think it's less of an issue, like, especially like in North America. I mean, like we saw Nick and Priyanka get married, right? And it wasn't a huge deal because my mom's like, oh, hey, she owes me. I've done that like 30 years ago. Actually, it was my parents' wedding anniversary this past week. And they had to get it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So they renewed their vows, and it was hard because back then, a lot of, like, for example, Hindu pundits and stuff, they didn't necessarily want. It was hard for my mom to find someone to actually like marry them, and because it was new in the community, right? And they just did a Hindu ceremony, or like the traditional Hindu/Indian ceremony, right? And it was actually in a church on McGill campus in a chapel, so it's also interesting. And for a lot of like my dad's family, it's the first time seeing anything like that, any kind of ceremony, right? Um, and yeah, since then, it's kind of, I guess, worked out. And here we are. So yeah, like I think, you know, a lot of people too. I mentioned to you earlier, like I find some Curry parents, if you want to say, you know, they're concerned like with marriage is a big topic, and a lot of the memes are on marriage. We've noticed, right? A lot of the jokes are around that, right? Like, who am I going to marry? You know, there's so much pressure from your parents, and I feel like, you know, a lot they're like, oh, they're afraid, especially the ones that immigrate away from India. They're afraid of losing their culture or losing what they're, you know, who they are, right? But I think really, if you're a good team, you have mutual respect, and you really love each other, you can make it work, you know, and you can still be able to keep whatever traditions and culture you want if the person respects that. And it's really been nice to see that through my parents, right, and their families. So, you know, I hope like, yeah, that can be a positive message for any, because I know I've had friends too that are like, oh man, like I'm dating this guy, he's not like Curry will say, you know, it's like, or you know, I'm dating this girl, like, you know, how have you? I've actually people talking about it. I wrote a small piece on that too, and yeah, like honestly, like, you know, your race or whatever doesn't define your culture, right? Like, you just, yeah, be yourself, and you know, yeah, love it for what
I
it is.
love that last line. I
Yeah,
love that last line you said, mate. Your race or doesn't define, you know, what culture you are. And I guess, mate,
exactly.
being Indian and Canadian are half half. Growing up in Canada in school, it must have been difficult in uni as well. Tell us how in school, uni, college, how you expressed your curriness and the different cool things that you got up to.
Yeah, it's definitely evolved like over time. Towards expressing, because in my early days, like I was with, I used to live in Montreal actually as a kid, and I lived in Ontario a bit. And in Montreal, my mom's family was there, so there's a big joint Indian family, so I'd be there like a lot, and I have that nice, you know, influence from my grandparents and whatnot, and you know, my mom. And we moved to Ontario, and actually, I didn't say I'm actually close to the Currie tourist capital, Niagara Falls.
Oh,
So my parents, we moved to Niagara area. So here, so there's a lot of curries that go there, but in the town where I am, it's a bit of a smaller town, and you know, it's changing though. Lots of new immigrants coming, like from all around India, you know, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. But they're in my high school, it was harder to express, you know, what I loved or what I was interested in. I was always kind of caught in between, you know, because I do like ice hockey. It's a big thing in Canada, so I had that community, and there was not a huge Indian community or Dace community at school, and you know, the few that were, we were, you know, maybe from different Curry communities, right? So like we didn't interact like you know, with our families or socially, right? So yeah, I'd say like at times, you know, it could have been tough, or like you have those identity crises. I feel like a lot of people have experienced that, you know, in the younger age. But I kind of just, again, I was still always happy and like passionate, I think, about my music. It definitely grew as I went. So that was kind of my thing. And I guess people knew me as like a drummer boy. Like in high school, I did we had like our winter kind of talent show thing. And I just got up there and like, screw this, you know, I got up there in front of the whole school. I wore a kurta
wow.
pajama, you know, the jocks in the front, like, oh, is that a dress? Is that a dress? I'm like, oh, Indian dress that, yes, but it's not, yeah. So, you know, you just kind of got to get out there and, you know, be yourself. And that's what I tried to do. And eventually, towards the end of my high school, too, a big influence in my life and comedian who is a total meme to me is Just Rain, who unfortunately hasn't been online as much. So I really just, like, that was like my whole personality, like his characters, you know. And he's obviously Punjabi, and there's a lot of Punjabi influence in Canada, and like a lot of my friends and family friends are Punjabi, including even my extended family, right? So I played the whole as well for fun. So I love the music, love the culture, you know, love the people. So that was kind of my thing towards the end of high school. And a lot of people like just kind of knew him from like, because he really showed up on Vine, right? And the way he portrayed the stereotypes, I think, were funny, and it was a way that I could somewhat relate to, just being around a lot of, you know, Desis growing up. And yeah, and then yeah, but otherwise I did things like multicultural show in my high school, and then coming to McGill, a more international school, I got to experience actual, you know, Curries from
Wow.
straight from, you know, their respective motherlands, right? Which is
Yeah.
interesting perspective to learn about too, right? Because I had mostly just grown up hearing from first or second generation immigrants, right? So it's interesting hearing their perspective too. And some of the jokes, you know, I found even in Curry traits might not be as relatable to them, because it's something that first generation or second generation kids growing up here would have experienced, right? So learning about that and learning what it was like there, you know, especially just other countries that I wouldn't have heard of as much. You know, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh. I just have friends from all around now. So and hearing about their
Come
families.
on.
So it's been nice, and that's sort of we're more connected now through subtle Currie traits. So yeah,
Come on, man.
yeah.
That's awesome. Look, thanks for sharing. And I guess final question before we close it out. For all those watching, for all the people who are at work or at uni or at school, what would you inspire people to do in their everyday to be more curry? And what inspiration do you have for us?
Honestly, like I always just say, just be yourself, and I think be proud. You know where you came from. Like you don't have to do it in a way that like you don't have to show that necessarily you're better than someone, or you can say we're all different in ways, but there's also beauty in all those differences, right? Because I always like to spread indifference, love, not hate, right? So just seeing that, like keeping an open mind and respecting, like the amazing multiculturalism of South Asia and the world. Just being curious and learning about different things. And through career traits, I can say I think we've all learned a thing or two. Even just through memes. And memes are a wonderful way to express different relatable comedic things. And sorry, one last point I forgot to mention. Also,
Sure.
I forgot to just bring up was there's also, I don't know if you guys have seen, but I was talking to Noel about it a bit. Growing up too, for us, a lot of us, I'll give Disney for example. A lot of the characters, the Curry characters or Desi characters, kind of portrayed as weak and like kind of a wimpy kid, and it's sort of just easy for people to just stereotype Indians like this or Pakistanis like this, and I think that wasn't great. But now recently Disney's come out with a show called Mira, and not only is it about an Indian girl or like a brown girl growing up in a cartoon, they're portraying basically proper South Asian or Indian classical music and dance in like the right way and in a really positive light. So I think it's really inspiring. Like I honestly, like as a tabla player, I almost had like tears in my eyes seeing like proper tabla with real top musicians like Ustad Zakir Hussain. Many of you may know who he is. In like a cartoon, as a kid, we never would have thought like that they would come, and the fact that they're doing that, and I hope it really inspires a lot of young people too. I really encourage all my young, if you have young kids or family and friends, to get them into music. It's a great way to connect and learn a lot about your culture. So I just thought I'd mention that as well. I think that's
Come on.
there's a lot of great things too that are happening, even though in this crazy world, right? So yeah,
Absolutely. But
yeah.
thanks for sharing that, and it's great to see the change in
No problem.
culture as well. And I think you were telling me some Bollywood movies are now getting it wrong, yeah? Like the way that they play the different
So that's another ironic thing. I was talking to because one of a small meme group that kind of expanded off of sort of Curry traits was sort of Takkanui traits, and that's sort of a Indian classical music and dance group or South Asian classical music and dance where we have relatable memes there. And one of my friends, I think, mentioned like, oh, it's funny because this Disney show is getting it right, but then we've seen Bollywood shows that there's a drone instrument called the tanpura, which you just play in the background to keep the sur, the tune, or the pitch. We've seen it like played as a sitar. A sitar is like an actual instrument you play, right? So like just stuff like that, or even just the mix matching of within Bollywood with the music. It's changed because it used to be like they worked with like real top musicians and it's like really pure lyrics, or now I like the catchy stuff. A lot of music is still catchy and fun, but I think like a lot of things like they're portraying it in a way that's like not necessarily. It's more maybe they're trying to appeal more to the West, but it's nice to see this Mira show. It's simple and like accurate, and it is really nice to see. Yeah, so that's just a funny, ironic thing that Bollywood now
Come on.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
no, that's awesome. Look, thank you so much for your time, Ravi, and for being our first ever member that's been represented on Keeping Up with the Curries. Guys who are watching, we're going to keep doing ones like these, and we're going to get influencers. We're going to get all sorts of people's ask funny stories and just hear the people behind the page and the group. Thank you once again, Ravi. We look forward to seeing you soon, and we look forward to seeing everyone watching as well real soon. Take care, guys. God bless. Bye.
Thanks so much.